Laser sights enhance and maintain your accuracy in a time of crisis, preventing tunnel vision and allowing quick target acquisition in awkward shooting positions. Crimson Trace, making laser sight standard equipment. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
The number one national voice in defense of your Second Amendment rights. Gun Talk, available on iTunes and on the free GunDealio smartphone app for Android and iPhone. To be on the air with Tom, call us now, 866-825-5486 or 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Now, here's Tom.
Alrighty, back with you, Tom Gresham here. 46,656,000. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. One of the things that everybody was discussing in the gun world online this week, videos of SIG P320 being dropped and firing. Lots of angst, lots of discussion, and a fair amount of misinformation, if I may throw that in myself. SIG issued a statement and a course of action this past week, and joining me right now to talk about that is Tom Taylor from Sig Sauer. Tom, I'm glad you're here.
Hey, Tom. Thanks for having me on today.
You bet. Okay, so the SIG P320, which is wildly popular, it also is the basis for, but not exactly, the basis for the pistol that was just adopted by the military. Am I correct?
Yes, the M17 variant, is a slightly different variant of the commercial 320. So it's actually being sort of going through the Armor's testing and training at Fort Campbell and the 101st right now. Okay.
Let me say something before I start asking you questions, okay? Because there's something I want to get out here. And that is guns are mechanical devices, and we have all known forever. And I always tell people, look, if you start to drop your gun, let it go, because it's probably not going to go off, because I think it's a better chance of you actually grabbing this trigger when you're grabbing it, and we've seen that happen. However, having said that, we all know that it is conceivably possible, under the right circumstances, for almost any firearm to go off if dropped. You guys do a lot more testing than I would ever know, but we had a chance to talk about this a little bit earlier in the week, and you threw out that 46 million number, which I thought was fabulous. I went and ran the numbers. 360 times 360 times 360 gets you 46,656,000. That is the number of possible variations in angle and degree that you could drop, orientations you could drop a gun at, right?
Yeah, and then you can multiply that by half degrees and each height, and so there's a tremendous amount of circumstances, that go into a dropped firearm, and so it's the amount of testing that SIG and all gun companies, for that matter, do with drop testing and drop safety is, we spend hundreds of hours and literally millions of dollars on just specifically drop testing in our engineering facility in New Hampshire.
Now, there are different drop tests you have to do for different standards, are there not?
Yeah, there's a number of different standards just in the U.S. alone. The ANSI, American National Standards Institute, which is part of SAMI, is sort of the basis of the sort of U.S. domestic drop test. And then beyond that, you have DOJ, you have NIJ, the National Institute of Justice. There's DOJ is the FBI test. You have Massachusetts, which is actually one of the strictest, and it goes on. And then there's of course, for us, we, along with some other manufacturers, we went through what's called the test operating procedure, which is the U.S. Army's testing procedure for the military contract, and then you go into NATO and other specific tests around the country and around the world for military and law enforcement units. So drop testing is certainly something that's not new to the gun industry, but sort of the phenomenon of civilians and individuals going out and doing it in their garages and off their roofs and things like that is definitely a new phenomenon.
Well, but the P320 passed all those standardized tests.
It did. There's the tests typically have anywhere from typically 6 to 8 orientations, the angles that you talked about. And typically you take a new gun and you drop it from each of those orientations one time. There's one test that does it 3 from each orientation, but basically, if you mentioned earlier, if you read a gun manual, it talks about the inherent dangers of dropping a gun. But it also, in a lot of manuals, talks about if you drop a gun, you should consider having an armor or somebody that's qualified look at it and make sure there's no damage done. Of course, in our standards, we test guns, individual guns, hundreds of times. So, you either learn something or it breaks or whatever, as do a lot of manufacturers. But the standards sort of look at it as to what's realistic. And what's realistic is that if you do drop your gun once or twice or 3 times, or maybe you're a professional and you drop it more than that, but it's certainly not intended to be dropped on the same angle over and over and over and over again, because it's inherently things are going to start loosening or breaking if you drop a mechanical device, especially on a hard surface, repeatedly. And so that's what's begun to happen. People are finding vulnerabilities and they're dropping it over and over and showing that you can make guns go off at times.
Okay, so basically we got particularly one guy who did a torture test on several SIGs, threw them from a trebuchet, beat the snot out of them, and after he did all of that, these guns are pretty worn out. Then he drops them and gets them to go off. Before we go any further, I want to say something here from a safety standpoint. Testing is generally done with an empty case, with just a primed case. There are some goofball yahoos, idiots out there actually trying to and getting guns to go off by dropping them with live ammo. You can shoot yourself doing that, people. Stop. Okay, so tell me about this thing you guys issue. I just had to get that out. I'm sorry, Tom. It's frustrating, but I hear you. All right, so tell me about this voluntary upgrade of the P320 you guys just issued.
Yeah, so this is not something. We've had some criticism for people thinking that we somehow cooked up a different sort of more robust trigger in the last week or so since this report first came out, but that's not really the case at all. SIG is and always has been a continuous improvement company. In fact, we sometimes frustrate our customers by having Gen 1 and Gen 2. It's sort of if you're a SIG follower, you get frustrated with us sometimes because SIG is a company that's always bidding for military and law enforcement contracts, and when we gather up learning, we'll incorporate that into the next generation of a gun. So that has happened throughout the almost 4-year life of the 320, but in the last year, that gun's been tested for DHS, FBI, and the U.S. military, as well as some contracts around the world. You'll be hearing some really good news, about some other big countries that are adopting the 320. And through those tests and evaluations, we get a lot of learnings. And so there is already a new system in the M17. It was, to be honest with you, the original M17 we submitted was the current commercial trigger group that is in the P320 today, and it did pass the U.S. Army's TOP drop tests. And then through some learning, we actually filed some formalized paperwork to propose them a new trigger, and that's what's in the M17 that's in test right now, or actually not test, but more in training at the 101st. And so we had planned to do a running change this fall to this updated trigger, and obviously with this, we decided to just kind of put an all-halt, put this new trigger in there. Our testing, this new system, we've taken the drop heights way up, we've taken the drop numbers way up, and it takes a gun that we believe was already inherently safe and makes it even safer. Between the current drop testing protocols that we do and the fact that you don't have to press the trigger to disassemble a SIG, we believe that it inherently makes it the safest striker-fired pistol on the market. And this upgrade is going to make it even more robust in terms of all those tests. So that's kind of what's transpired over the past few months to get us to this voluntary upgrade. With all the turmoil, we just wanted to clear up the confusion.
Sure.
Go ahead and accelerate this upgrade that was already in motion and get that out there that folks can either keep their current trigger system or upgrade the system.
I'll tell you what, hold on just a second, Tom. I want to take a quick break because we do want to talk about what's involved and what you have to do and everything there. So we'll take a quick break. We're coming back. We'll talk with Tom Taylor from Sig Sauer about the P320 And there's one other area that I'd really like to get cleared up because there's, again, some misinformation out there. But, yeah, this is it's called a voluntary upgrade to the P320. The details of that coming up right up.
Hardcore tactical professionals who put their lives on the line every day depend on Surefire. For decades, Surefire has built the first and finest professional-grade flashlights, weapon-mounted lights, hearing protection, and suppressors. We build the best because lives depend on it, and we know failure is not an option. We design, engineer, and manufacture Surefire products right here in the U.S. For you, for your loved ones, Surefire. American built, American strong. Surefire.com.
You got your carry permit, and that's good. But you know you could use more training. Get the DVDs, which have what you need. Springfield Armory presents Concealed Carry 1 and Concealed Carry 2 with Bata Group. Learn specific concealed carry skills from Top Gun fighting trainers. Get trained. Be prepared. This really is life and death. ShopGunTalk.com. That's ShopGunTalk.com.
Nosler has been a leader in bullets and ammunition for decades and keeps growing with new product introductions that follow this tradition. Accurate, highly effective bullets and ammo for long-range shooting, precision rifle competition, and big game hunting. To be the first to hear about new product releases and promotions, follow Nosler on Facebook and Instagram and become part of the conversation. You won't settle, and neither will we. Nosler.com.
For 36 years, the U.S. Sportsmen's Alliance has been fighting to protect hunting, fishing, and trapping for sportsmen from coast to coast. Today, we are under constant attack from extremist animal rights groups who want to end your ability to hunt in the U.S. Join us to protect our sporting heritage and our way of life outdoors. To join or for more information on how you can help, go to ussportsman.org. That's ussportsman.org.
When someone leaves you their gun collection, you may want a few, but what do you do with the rest? How do you sell them? Who do you call? Well, I call Johnny Dury at Dury's Guns. Whether you're selling one gun or 500, they'll tell you what it's worth and write you a check. Simple, quick, easy, fair. I trust Dury's Guns. Give them a call. DurysGuns.com. All right, we're talking with Tom Taylor from Sig Sauer about the P320. A lot of news, or at least a lot of stuff about it this week. Tom, before we get into the details of exactly what the upgrade is, there was also maybe some misinformation about the Dallas PD. Did you want a chance to clear that up?
Absolutely, Tom. Yeah, that was really the sort of fuse that lit this whole thing, and that a Dallas PD had a lieutenant who was new to the Armory and Training Division, and he was reading up on some manuals and happened to look at the P320 manual. And by the way, the Dallas PD, the issued weapon is a SIG P320. Most of the department carries those. About 90% of the officers in Dallas, 2,700 out of 3,000, and the remaining officers are weapon of choice, which can be a Glock, an M&P, a SIG 320, and so on. And he read, and actually what was the first manual that came out with the 320 language has actually been adjusted slightly from the one that was released in the news, but it basically has the generalized language that says, all guns are inherently safe if you drop them. And in our original language, we'd adopted something, being new to the striker business, that you may want to consider carrying the chamber open, which is just really a precautionary measure that really no one does. It carries a defensive weapon.
Yeah, I don't know the chamber, but we don't do that.
No, but he read that, and it made him pause, and he issued an interdepartmental memo that somehow was released to I'll just say a very low-level blogger. I won't call him by name, but he released that interdepartmental memo, but then he further went on to say that sources at Dallas Police Department confirmed that there had been a training accident, a gun had been dropped, an officer had been wounded, And that rumor actually corrected itself with some other low-level bloggers who jumped onto it and said they called Dallas PD, and they had confirmed that had not happened. But when that original story went out, also indicating that this would certainly impact the Army's contract and that sort of thing. So just a tremendous amount of misinformation. But what it did was it launched this, or sort of lit this fuse of people deciding that they were gun testers and beginning to drop the 320, and certainly didn't comprehensively do any tests or understand what testing protocols are, and that's sort of where we are now.
Okay, so basically, you already had, my words, not yours, the fix to this was in the works, already in the M17, and you're just saying, okay, we were planning to put this into the P320, and now you're just going to make it available to everyone, and it's a different trigger group, something. What is it?
Well, the group. The group that goes together is obviously the same, but all we're doing is we're taking the trigger, the sear, and the striker, and we're creating an actual lighter physical weight, not the weight of the trigger pull. But
not trigger pull, but actual the actual trigger itself will weigh less.
Yes. So if you look at the trigger, for instance, you'll be able to see it visually from the outside of the gun, that the trigger will be a little narrower and it'll have a little hollowed out place in the back. And the sear went from being solid to skeletonized, and that all was done. But just the other part of this upgrade that was on the way, like I said before, we issued the voluntary upgrade, is we're also, based on some military contracts, adding a mechanical disconnector. So that doesn't really have any impact on drop testing, but I'd say that the other three elements have 99% impact on drop testing, and the mechanical disconnector might help a little, but that was just something that was we had decided to put in because a number of law enforcement and military agencies had preferred the disconnector in the gun. So that's another physical change you'll see in the housing of the trigger group.
So how do people take advantage of this? What are they supposed to do?
So if you go to our website, it probably won't be up first thing tomorrow morning, but I would say by mid to late morning, there'll be if you go to the SIG website, sigsauer.com, there'll be not the header at the very top of the page, but there's 3 boxes beneath that call out new products and things like that. And one of those will say voluntary upgrade. You can click on that, and it'll give you instructions if you're a civilian consumer, if you're a law enforcement officer who has a personally owned 320, or it was bought through an agency program, or whatever you are, you'll be able to click on your specific area, and there'll be a form you can fill out, and there'll be instructions of how to launch the process. And what I will tell consumers, it'll be a little frustrating because obviously with the number of SIGs that are on the market, and depending on how many people choose to take advantage of the upgrade, this isn't going to be something that's going to be fixed in a week.
Right.
It's going to. We're setting up production lines, and we just don't know how many are going to come back in. So we just don't know how long it's going to take, and we really won't launch the process for 3 or 4 weeks until we're 100% ready to implement it anyway, because we weren't really prepared for it yet.
But people should go to the website. But people should go to the website this week to go ahead and, if they're going to do it, to sign up to get in line.
Absolutely, yeah. The sooner you go, the sooner you'll get in the queue, so to speak, to get you'll register, and then our customer service department will send you an email at some point in time in the near future with your return label and the instructions of how to do it, and that sort of thing. And we'll tell you exactly how to do it.
Okay, so what is SIG's advice to people who have a P320 now, between now and when they send it in?
So our advice is that if you read all of our statements all along, we've said that we believe that the P320 is safe. It's been tested way beyond any of the standards that we measure guns to, and so we've deemed it as a safe gun, and we believe people can continue to carry their SIGs, and just like they would with any firearm, be careful and follow all the safe gun handling rules that we all know already. Okay.
Well, it's pretty simple. Again, if you go to sigsauer.com sometime tomorrow, that'll pop up, and you'll be able to read the details on it. And if you have a P320, you can sign up to get the voluntary upgrade. you guys were very quick to move on this. It helped that you already had this thing in the works anyway. But, and we've talked about this before. You've been around the gun business a long time. They're mechanical devices, and gun companies, by and large, always jump on this and take care of it. You're not the only company that's had something like this. But the way you handle it is what's really important.
Yeah, I mean, the Tuesday after this all broke, we brought a number of members of the media into SIG. We presented them our protocols and, talked about all the aspects of this. We took them over to our testing facility. We showed them how we test guns. I think even some of the people that broke the original story, I think were pretty surprised by the amount of testing that goes in, and they understand how serious we are about this. So we just, we felt like it was something that was really important to over communicate, because it's obviously such a serious situation, a serious matter, that we just wanted to get as many eyes on it as we could and get as much communication out there as possible, so that people understand that it's safe, and you can go out and you can do a simple search on the internet. You can read a lot of good information and some of your more mainstream gun and outdoor publications.
Right. I understand. Tom, I appreciate you coming on. I know it's been a real tough week, a lot of late nights and busy hours at SIG, but I really appreciate you being here, man.
Well, Tom, we appreciate you giving us a platform to come on and talk about it a little bit. Thank you very much. Absolutely.
You take care. Yeah, so basically the upshot is they say the P320 is safe. Go ahead and shoot it. Go ahead and carry it. There are some orientations where it could, maybe with a damaged gun, when it's worn out, go off. But you know what? I will tell you, others may not. You don't want to see the numbers on what happens if you drop some other guns. There's a reason they came out with a Series 80. That's what I'm saying here, and some others out there. But try not to drop your gun. In the meantime, they jumped on this and they did something about it. So I'm happy about that. Keep saying, man, these are good companies out there. They really do care. So good on that. Do you have a P320? Have you been worried about this? Have you seen the videos? What are you thinking? Also, we're open lines. Got your range reports coming in right now. If you'd like to join us, 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. 866-TALK-GUN, or just dial Tom Talk Gun. Hey, I'm Tom Gresham. We call this show Gun Talk because, well, that's what we do. We talk about guns.
Sign up for our Gun Talk newsletter and join the Truth Squad at www.guntalk.com. Now, back to Gun Talk with Washington Times opinion page regular contributor Tom Gresham.
All right, back with you. 866-TALK-GUN, or just dial Tom Talk Gun, get you in here. Let's see, I just got an email from Cecilia in Nevada. She says, how do you figure out how much elevation you need to hit a target with a 30-06 at 100-plus yards? Well, you got to sight in I'm assuming you're using a scope, working on that. If you're using a scope, you sight in at a specific distance. So maybe it's 100 yards. If you're on at 100 yards, then as the bullet goes further out, 200, 300 yards, it's going to be dropping. Every ammo maker has drop tables on its website. So if you look, it'll say, if you're sighted at 100 yards, you'll be 2 inches low or 3 inches low at 200 and 8 inches low at 300, etc. And some of us in the old days would just take a piece of paper and write the drop table for that cartridge and that bullet and cut out this little piece of paper and then put a piece of tape on it and tape it onto the stock of our rifle so that when we're out, we don't have to think about it. We just flip the stock around, look at it, go, okay, 400 yards, that's a 21-inch drop, good to go, and hold right on the back line and do that. So that's basically it. You just kind of look it up. Everybody's got, one out there. Let's go to Dwayne. He's on line 3 out of Palestine, Texas. Hey, Dwayne.
Hey, Tom. Thanks for taking my call. I really appreciate what you guys are doing there. Got a question for you. I've heard you talk over the last episodes about, sending guns back to the manufacturer, and, most manufacturers will bend over backwards, and I totally agree with that. I've had dealings with Colt and Smith and Ruger in the past, and you're exactly right. A few years ago, I ran into a problem, though, with one American-made manufacturer and sent the gun back several times. I keep getting it back with a statement that it's fixed. And I finally just decided to, well, maybe I just don't shoot that model gun well. And so I would have felt bad about selling it to someone because, in my opinion, right now, it's just a paperweight. Fast forward to last year, I wound up, there's a guy offered to trade me basically the same model gun. It is the same model gun for a piece of equipment I had. And I thought, well, I really don't want that. But, okay. Turns out that gun runs perfect. Got no issues with it. Now, this gun has been back, I don't know, I'm going to say 5, maybe 6 times. I've got it documented, but not in front of me. Do you have any, I don't know, advice for me on which direction I could go?
Let me ask a couple of questions. What is the problem with the gun? What's it doing?
The gun will, a multitude of things. I've got failure to feed.
First of all, let me stop you because everybody's asking me right now in my head. They're saying, well, what is it? What is it? So what brand is it? What are we talking about?
Car P380.
Okay. All right. So what's it doing?
Failure to fire, white strikes on the primer. I've got failure to go back fully into battery, and I've also got failure to eject. Now, again, I've got another P380 now that runs fine. I've also got their PM9, runs great. Love their guns. It's just this one gun that I don't know.
I don't know. How long's it been since you sent it back last time?
The last time I sent it back would have been about a year ago.
Well, if you didn't have the other, and the one you just got is the same model, right?
That's
P320?
correct, yeah. The only difference in the two guns is one of them I paid the extra. The one that I'm having problems with, I paid the extra to get the black coating on it so that the slide wouldn't, the stainless look to it. But, I mean, the guns are identical.
How many rounds have you put through the one that's a problem?
The one that's a problem, I would say, has probably had between 700 and 800 rounds put through it.
Okay, should be broken in. My initial thought would be if you're having failures to feed or eject, that could be a shooter-related issue, not putting enough pressure on it.
Which was my thoughts exactly.
Yeah,
that was my thoughts. But then whenever I got the other one, and you can take the two guns out side by side, running the same ammo through them, and the one runs fine and the other one doesn't. Well,
there's a certain point where you got to punt. And while I would like to say, contact CAR and give them one more shot at it, and I'm always willing to say that, give them one more shot at it, but if it's been there 2, 3, 4 times, 6 times, whatever it is, might be time to, have you thought about just taking it to a local gunsmith?
Honestly, no, I don't have any local gunsmiths that I'm aware of. I've got some guys that probably work on them in the garage, but I'm not aware of an actual gunsmith local to me.
How far are you from San Antonio?
Probably about 3 hours.
Okay. I know they got good gunsmiths at Johnny Dury's place, and you could always send it to them at Dury's Guns.
Okay.
Dury'sGuns.com. Give them a holler. Okay. Seriously, give them a holler. Tell them I said to contact you. He's got a whole bank of good gunsmiths there. You can send it to them directly. You don't have to go from a dealer to them, and then they can send it back. Excuse me. And see if they can't get it worked out for you. At this point, it's worth throwing, whatever it is, $50 or $100 at it to get it to run, rather than just giving up on it.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's what I would do.
Hey, thanks so much for what you're doing. I appreciate that information.
You bet. Sorry about the cough there, guys. All right, 866-TALK-GUN gets you in here. I'm Tom Gresham. Be right back with more Gun Talk.
Responsible owners control access to their firearms, even when they may need them in a hurry. Liberty Safe, the nation's leader in gun safes, offers 6 models of handgun vaults. Strong, simple to use, open with a key or fingerprint. Put your handgun in the compact vault, lock it away until you need it. Then it's in your hand almost instantly. Pick the Liberty Safe handgun vault that's right for you. LibertySafeHD.com.
The pistol that redefined pocket carry just got even better. The Ruger LCP2 has improved sights, an easy-to-rack slide, a larger textured grip surface for a secure grip and recoil reduction, and a short, crisp, single-action trigger pull for real-world accuracy. It's so small and light that there's no reason to ever leave home without your LCP2.
a serious pistol in a pint-sized package. Learn more about the LCP2 at Ruger.com.
The holster that changes shape with your lifestyle is finally here. Alien Gear Holsters proudly presents the revolutionary Shapeshift modular holster system. The Shapeshift starter kit is a base package containing one holster that can easily switch between 4 of the most popular carry positions, including IWB, OWB, appendix, and paddle, depending on your preference or activity. Find more information, including future carry options like shoulder and drop thigh, at aliengearholsters.com.
Hi, this is Tom Gresham from Gun Talk. America is losing critical wildlife habitat at a rate of 1 football field every hour. It's happening on the Louisiana coast, but it's critical to all sportsmen and conservationists. These precious wetlands provide winter habitat for more than 10 million ducks and geese annually, waterfowl that migrate north through dozens of states. Don't shrug it off. Get involved. You can help. Visit vanishingparadise.org.
It's really pretty simple. Your carry gun is a life-saving device. It must be with you. That's what the Springfield Armory XDS is all about. Small enough to carry, big enough to shoot comfortably, shockingly slim, single stack, with a 3.3-inch or 4-inch barrel, available in 9, 40, or 45. Highly accurate, great trigger, fiber optic front sight for fast aimed fire. The XDS at springfield-armory.com. That's springfield-armory.com.
There's something at work here, something going on that you know, but we may not have said it out loud to really solidify the concept. And that is the total demonization of gun owners, and particularly gun owner organizations. So we have, after the Charlottesville attack with a car, right? With a car, Shannon Watts of Moms Demand Action blames the violence at Charlottesville on the NRA. Yeah, I know. Guy runs over these people, murders, and it's murder. It's just pure murder. Murders this woman with his car, and she's blaming this on the NRA. And then we've got a Virginia delegate who tweets out, Marcus Simon is the guy's name, and he says, let me get this right. Driving a car into crowd is terrorism. POTUS should announce he's directed the FBI to investigate it, and if any hate groups were behind it, I wonder if he was a VCDL member. That's Virginia Citizens Defense League, a gun owner organization. Here's what's going on here, my friends. There is a move afoot to be able to brand gun owner organizations as terrorist groups. Certainly, it's already happening in the media. They're branding gun owner groups as hate groups, hate speech. The NRA is a hate organization, even though it's the leading gun safety organization. What's behind all of this? If you can marginalize them, you can get rid of them. It's the Saul Alinsky deal. It's actually it's the Goebbels deal in Hitler's concept out there. Marginalize people, get people to think less of them. You can send them to the camps, and they want to send us to virtual camps. Make no mistake about it. That is going on right now. And one of the things we have to do is not shrug and just say, well, that's just the way it is. So when we see that in the paper, we see that online, we see that anywhere, we hear somebody say it, we speak up and go, wait. You're saying that 5 million men, women, and youngsters are terrorists? That's what you're saying? Because that's what you just said. When you said the NRA is a terrorist organization, the NRA is a hate group. Or when you walk in and say, hey, wait. I'm a member of the NRA. Are you calling me a terrorist? Are you calling me a domestic terrorist? You have to call them every single time. Otherwise, as we say, a lie left unchallenged becomes the truth. Hey, Rob's in Lewiston, Idaho on 2. Something about some long-range pistol shooting. Hey, Rob.
Hello. Yeah, I was listening to your program about that and had a little story. My girlfriend was out shooting me with my 44 Ruger Red Hawk, and I decided I couldn't have that any longer. And I put 500 or 600 rounds through it and got really good, and then realized after getting really comfortable with it that I was hitting between 100 and 150 yards very well.
Really?
Yeah.
People, there are people who will say you can't hit anything at that distance with a handgun.
Oh, they can come up here anytime they want, and I'll show them.
Have you ever had a chance to show somebody and have them be surprised that you can actually hit things past a football field with a handgun?
Well, no, I guess just my girlfriend on that. I shot a deer with it, but it wasn't that far.
Oh, well. I bet it was surprised.
Yeah, that was very exciting. Not too many people get to kill a deer with a pistol.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, but I had another friend that did kind of inspire me at that.
Yeah,
because he was shooting a longer barreled Blackhawk and hitting probably about a 14-inch log at well over 100 yards.
Yeah.
I was like, well, if he can do that, then I can practice and do it too.
Isn't that fun? It really is. Hey, Rob, appreciate the call. Excellent range report. And just get another one coming in by email. It says, just got a Kimber full-size 1911 and 45 ACP with Winchester personal protection ammo. Got quarter-size groups at 25 yards, apple size at 50 yards, and football size at 100. Still hitting at the top edge of the front sight, maybe a couple inches of drop. So a full-size 1911 and 45 ACP, football-size groups at 100 yards. The guns will do it. It's just the nut that's holding on to it that sometimes falls down on the job. LeJuan, Nicholas, Elk City, Oklahoma, got a new stag. What are you doing here, Nicholas?
Well, I just got it. I hadn't had a chance really to shoot it, and I was just, you happened to say something about breaking in on that pistol a little while ago, and I happened to think, well, may I need to ask, what is the proper way to break AR-15 in?
Two things. One is lube the devil out of it. Unlike most guns, an AR-15 really runs better when you got a lot of lube on it. I like that Slip 2000 product, but just a good gun lube on there, and then just shoot the devil out of it. And that's how you break them in. And frankly, 300 to 500 rounds, everything will be nice and broken in and smooth, but you want to be keeping it, you really want to keep it wet. It's practically slinging lube and oil when you're shooting it.
Okay.
Okay?
See, I'm used to mini 14s.
Okay, well then you keep them lubed, and the thing is, what part of what you're doing is when you start shooting a semi-auto, it's wearing, parts are sliding and wearing, and it's actually burnishing the metal, and you don't want it to get dry. You want it to stay wet because the lube actually lifts the little, if you will, particles or granules of steel that you're wearing out, and that's how you're smoothing it out. It's not unlike using oil on a whetstone when you're sharpening a knife. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Excuse me. All right. Well, good deal. You got a good rifle there. That'll be fun. You'll have a bunch of fun with that. I'm not really a believer in needing to break in the barrel on most ARs. I think the whole barrel break-in thing got overdone somewhere along the line. I really think that's more for super accurate target rifles. If you have one of these long-range sniper types or long-range competition rifles, yeah, that makes some sense. But if it's just a hunting rifle or it's an AR, I don't think it matters. It's not going to do any harm, but I would rather just shoot the heck out of them rather than sit there and shoot one round, clean it, shoot one round, clean it, do that for a while. Boring and unnecessary in most cases. 866-TALK-GUN. What have you bought? And what are you shopping for right now? We'll be right back. Yeah, here we go again. On the subject of demonizing gun owners, gun owner groups, Representative, this is a United States Representative, Kathleen Rice from the state of New York. I'm just going to say it. NRA and Dana Lash are quickly becoming domestic security threats under President Trump. We can't ignore that. Wait. Let me do that again. It says NRA and Dana Lash, spokesperson for NRA, are quickly becoming domestic security threats. NRA is a security threat? That means you're, as an NRA member, a security threat? I'm a security threat? My wife's a security threat? My granddaughter's a security threat? What? Are you mental? Have you lost your mind? You freakazoid? Good Lord. By the way, it wasn't an NRA member. It was a crazy leftist Democrat who tried to murder a bunch of Republican Congress people when he shot Congressman Steve Scalise. And the intention was to kill them all. Not an NRA member. Liberal, leftist, Democrat, crazed assassin. Chuck is on line 2 out of Carson City. What'd you get here, Chuck? What'd you buy?
Oh, I got myself a SIG MPX in 9mm.
Nice. What are you going to do with that?
IDPA just recently this year added a pistol caliber carbine class to their selection, and I've been running it in that and loved it.
Excellent. That is fun. And the MPX is just, it shoots real well, but it's just a cool-looking gun. If there's one knock I would put on the MPX, I'm going to ask you what you think. I wish it had a little bit better trigger.
That is true. It looks like there's a couple manufacturers that are in the works that getting something out for it. It's pretty close to a AR style.
Exactly. It's close, but it's not it.
Quite swap.
Yeah. I was talking with the guys over at Timney Triggers. They said, yeah, it's close, but it's not quite there, and we're working on it. So I don't know when it's going to be out, but that would be really sweet to get an aftermarket trigger for that. But I love that. I have one, but it's in timeout right now because it's an SBR. So I have it, but I can't get it for a while until the tax stamp comes back in. But you're going to have so much fun with that thing. It's just sweet. Excellent. Thank you, Chuck. I appreciate the call. Actually, we got an MPX and MCX. Both of them are in timeout. And, that's why I need to get that pistol AR or maybe the pistol version of something else. Got to do that. I've got the stripped lower. And my friend Dan said he's built so many ARs. He said, yeah, it takes me about 15 minutes to build an AR. What? Yeah, it really does. He said, I got some tricks I do, but he said, we'll just build it up for you. We'll make you a pistol out of it. So it's just a case of finding enough time to do it. I just haven't quite done it yet. So as we head into the week, we've covered an awful lot of room here. Ruger doing their recall or upgrade, if you will, on the Ruger Precision Rifle. SIG doing the voluntary upgrade on the P320 pistol. A lot of things going on there. And then, of course, we have the continual demonization of gun owners and gun owner organizations. When Kathleen Rice, representative from New York, says the NRA is a domestic security threat. Pardon me. And, of course, we've got Kamala Harris, a United States Senator from California, who says she's calling for the confiscation, door-to-door searches, is what it would take, the confiscation of what she calls assault weapons. That would be somewhere in the 10 to 20 to 30 million guns that she wants to pick up. Yeah, she hasn't thought that through. And she wants to run for president. That's the plan. Tell you what, if you call in right now, 866-TALK-GUN, we'll get you into the after show. In the meantime, go out and shooting. Have some fun this week.